Chapter 8 The Bit of Magic Paper. This is a story about Gobi, a pixie. Pixie is an imaginary creature that has powers or magical powers. They are small creatures. So once upon a time, a bit of paper blew on Gobi's garden. Gobi was a pixie and he ran to pick up the paper, for he didn't like rubbish in his garden. He thought it was rubbish, so he ran to pick it up and throw it away. But it wasn't rubbish. It was a page of note paper with writing on it. "Good gracious," said Gobi. "It's Witch Hey-Ho's writing. I'll read it." It was the writing of a witch. Witch is who can do magic. So this was the paper, the paper which had handwriting of the witch Hey-Ho. Now Gobi wanted to read it. Now Gobi should have not read it. He should have taken it straight back to witch Hey-Ho, who was writing busily in her garden a little very away. She was not very far, so he should have actually taken that paper and given it back to her. But Gobi was very curious to see what was written on the bit of paper, and he read it. So let's see what happened then. And he found it was a spell. Spell is magical words. So that was to make something grow. There should have been over another page. There should have been actually 2 pages to the spell. But Gobi thought the one page told him quite enough to use the magic. It was to make something black grow well. Now Gobi thought that it must be that paper is that much, one page is enough to do the magic. Whatever spell it must be enough to do whatever it had to grow, and it was supposed to grow something that is black. Now let's see, thought Gobi, frowning till his eyes were almost shut. He was frowning so much that his eyes were almost shut. Something black. Why, that must be black currants. Of course, he thought, black currants are small blackberries. So witch Hey-Ho has plenty of black currant bushes in her garden, and she wants them to have lots of fruit this year. Aha! This is part of the spell she has written here. What fun! Now I can make black currants grow too. He thought that with that spell that was written on that one page, he will be able to grow the black currants for himself. He read the bit of paper again. To make them grow big and black in crowds, get a pint of soot. A pint of soot means is a pinch, a little bit of black powder. Soot is black powder. So he thought to make them grow in crowds. Crowds means lots of it. It was written on that paper that you have to get a pint of soot and a pint of moonlight dew and stir up together with a peacock's feather. He had to bring a pinch of moonlight dew and a pinch of soot and stir it with the peacock's feather. And then he says, add 6 petals of wallflower and the shine of the black stone. Say the 4 magic words. Voila! Corona, Della, Ho. All this he had to say these magic words while adding all these ingredients and stirring them up. Then he says, as quickly as you can. You had to do it very fast. 5 times. You had to do it 5 times. Stir it 5 times and say the spell 5 times. Now choose the place where you want the magic to grow and paint it carefully with the mixture. That area you have to paint it with the mixture. Gobi rubbed his hands in excitement. He was very happy. He would make crowds of black currants grow. He would have blackcurrant pie every day. How lovely! He was very excited. He wondered where to grow them. I'd better not grow them in the garden, he thought. If I do, which hay-ho will see me? I'd better grow them indoors. I can easily pick some spray of blackcurrant bush. Spray is the branch of the blackcurrant bush, and paint them with the magic indoors. Then the blackcurrants will grow on the sprays, on the branches of it, and I can pick them and make them into beautiful pies. So he was very excited to make the blackcurrant pies for himself, and so he wanted to grow it inside so that witch Hay-ho would not see what he is doing with the magic spell. Gobi thought he would tell his friend Peterkin about the spell he had found. Peterkin would help him to make the pastries for the pie. Pastry is the flour wrap that is made around the pie, the dough that is prepared. So he took the paper to Peterkin and told him all about how he had found it flying into his garden. But how do you know the spell will make blackcurrants? Said Peterkin in surprise. It doesn't say so. It just says to make them grow big and black in crowds. But it doesn't say what. That what has to grow big and black, it doesn't say that. But I happen to know that Miss Witch Hay-ho is very fond of blackcurrant pie, said Gobi impatiently. He was very excited actually. And I'm sure she is writing out the spell to make the fruit grow well on her bushes. Will you come along and help me to make the pastry for our pies now? Then we'll grow the blackcurrants and use them whilst they are nice and fresh and juicy. A good blackcurrant tart is open pie, is a perfectly delicious meal to have. Peterkin put on his hat and went back with Gobi to his house. Gobi picked 20 sprays of blackcurrant bush from his garden. He set them in 20 little jars of water in the kitchen. Then he began to make the spell. There's some soot we can have out of the kitchen chimney, he said. The soot they'll get from the kitchen chimney. And I've plenty of moonlight dew. Now, for the 6 wallflower petals, go and see if you can find some on that late wallflower at the bottom of the garden, Peterkin. And you might bring in a nice shiny black stone with you too. See how Gobi is ordering Peterkin for doing everything. Peterkin went out and soon came back with some velveteen wallflower petals and a large black stone. Very solemnly means very carefully and very seriously and carefully, the two made the magic mixture and stirred it with the peacock's feather that Gobi always kept handy for the making of spells. He scraped the shine off the black stone, and it fell into the black mixture and made it fizz. There was a sound, fizzy sound, like shortbread. It was very queer, it was very strange. Quella corona dalla ho, chanted Gobi as he stirred and stirred. Quella corona dalla ho. Now they had to say it 5 times. When the spell was finished, Gobi and Peterkin painted the blackcurrant spray with it in great glee. Glee means great happiness. The currants will take a little time to grow, said Gobi. We will make the pastry for the pies whilst we are waiting. As long as they are waiting, he said, we'll make the pastry pie. But you know, that spell wasn't meant to make black currants, but black beetles. Fancy that. So, it wasn't long before nice, large, shiny black beetles began to grow on the blackcurrant spray. They didn't stay there very long though. They ran down the stalk and hurried about the kitchen floor looking for something to eat. Now that spell was not meant for black currants. It was meant to make black beetles. They are like cockroaches, black cockroaches. So then they started to grow and walk around in the kitchen floor looking to eat something. Suddenly Gobi saw them. Now Gobi, like a great many people, was afraid of the black beetles, though they could do him no harm. So he gave a loud yell and almost scared Peterkin out of his skin. He saw those beetles, black beetles, and he was really scared and he shouted loudly. And even Peterkin got scared. Ouch! Oh, look! What are all these beetles in here for? Peterkin wasn't afraid of beetles, and he looked at them in astonishment. He was not scared of beetles, and he was but looking at them in surprise that suddenly how they came here. How queer! Queer is strange, he said. I didn't know you had beetles in your kitchen, Gobi. I haven't, squealed Gobi. Squealed means speaking very loudly, almost crying out. Where are they coming from? Oh, where are they coming from? Peterkin looked and saw that they were coming down the stalk of the blackcurrant spray in dozens. That means in lots of numbers. He began to look scared. Now he was scared because there were lots of them. Gobi, look, they are growing on those sprays. I don't believe that was a spell for black currants after all. I believe it was for black beetles. Oh goodness, whatever shall we do now? They were very, so many black beetles, so they were very upset now what to do. Gobi stared in horror. He was staring, looking in horror. He was very scared, and saw that what Peterkin had said was right. He had grown black beetles instead of black currant. How dreadful, so scary. Oh, take those sprays into the garden quick and burn them, he begged Peterkin, but Peterkin wouldn't touch them. He suddenly opened the door and ran home. He didn't like being mixed up with strange spells that went wrong. You never know what might happen next. Gobi began to cry. Now Peterkin also ran away. So Gobi now was left alone. He began to cry. He rushed on and went to Witch Hey-Ho's. He told her what had happened and begged her to make a spell to get rid of all the black beetles. At first, Witch Hey-Ho looked stern. Stern means a little angry. When she heard how Gobi had picked up her bit of magic paper and had read it and used it, but then, As she caught sight of the black beetles wandering out of Gobi's kitchen down into the garden, she began to laugh. Oh dear, she laughed. What a shock for you to get black beetles instead of black currants. Never mind, Gobi, I won't punish you, but I really don't in the least know how to stop the spell. You'll just have to put up with the beetles. She told Gobi that I don't know any spell to stop these beetles. You'll have to live with them. And that was all the comfort poor Gobi got from the witch. But she told him that hedgehogs love a grand meal of beetles, so he is going to buy one from the pet shop and keep him in the kitchen. So he bought a hedgehog because hedgehogs like to eat the black beetles. So he bought one from the pet shop and kept it in the kitchen. Then perhaps he won't have them eating the food out of the larder. Larder is the store place where the food is kept. And sleeping in his bed and crawling on his shoes. Poor Peter. He was at least happy that the hedgehog could at least eat all the beetles rather than the beetles eating all the food. It's always best to make sure of a spell before you use it. So do be careful of magic, won't you? Just in case you make a mistake like Gobi. So the author says that you have to be careful of any magic spell before using it. Make sure what it is about rather than making a mistake like Gobi did.